Hey, how's it going, everybody? Tony here. Hope you're doing well. Just wanted to go over some quick thoughts here on Bitcoin. First thing on the smaller time frame here. See, we dipped beneath this level here at 112, and then we got a quick reaction up and away from it, suggestively on some news. We were looking for this sweep at the open, clear out liquidity, fake out the breakout traders, and then we came back into an internal retracement level here at 1700, which has played as support in the past. And now we've come back to do a retest and we've rejected from that level. So this is the first huge level that the bulls have to beat is 117. And how we retrace in this area here within this range between 112 and 117 is going to be huge in the directional aspect of where Bitcoin wants to go next. News is great and everything. It does move markets, as you can see, but it doesn't necessarily define which way the market's going to go from there on. We'll have to see how Monday turns out. This dropped on a Friday morning, so the market just rallied after that. So after it digests over the weekend, we'll see how Monday morning goes. But for now, I think we have our key areas labeled here. On the bigger picture, I think 112 is the line in the sand where we want to hold above that, and that does keep us in this potentially impulsive range. So anything that happens in here could just be corrective. We want to see it be nice and corrective, something like this, where the market is saying like, okay, it's hesitating on going lower and looking for a potential move up. At which degree are we going to go back up to 120? That's possible. I think we could see something like that for a potential retracement. But as markets need to do, we need to start breaking these levels and flipping them to support. And that's the minimum we want to see. On the smaller time frame, I think we have a nice impulse down. I'm going to see how this plays out. We could have a flat here and then move down like that. So the main thing we want to see is it stay corrective within this range. But if we do get some move up here in a corrective form to this miniature or lesser degree range here, I'm going to be looking for a C3 setup. Obviously, it's my most ideal favorite setup. So if we get something like that, I don't care if this is going to print a C or a 3. Either way, I'm going to be looking for an entry at an area of interest. And right now, that area of interest is going to be up here at 115. I think I have it marked off. So right now, we're bouncing off of this area of support here. Came down pretty swift after the close on Friday, which we were looking for. And it's bouncing off of this level or this area here as well. So we'll see if the algos can pick it up and start moving it up a little bit. We get a nice spike. We start flipping these levels into support. That's great. But for right now, I'm going to see if this prints correctively. And then I'll be looking for a short down, possibly back down to the golden zone area down here in the 113.5K area. So when it comes to Bitcoin, right now we want it to stay at least relatively happy. We could get some flush out or something to that nature, but if we want altcoins and the rest of the space to flourish, Bitcoin has to at least be mid or at least stay somewhat happy and in a range and not dumping. If we start dumping, there's potential that everything else is going to dump with it. Even though ETH has some strength to it right now, that can wane pretty quickly if BTC just takes a nosedive. If BTC starts going sideways and doing some corrective thing, that's actually better or best for ETH to do its thing. So we really want to see at least Bitcoin to be somewhat happy and ranging, if you will, would be the best situation. I think 112 is going to be that level where I'm going to watch for a break. If we end up breaking down here, it all depends. Are we going to sweep like we did here and just reclaim this level immediately like we did both these times? Or is this the time it's going to break? And if it does break, we're going to be watching how it returns to this level. If we get a nice correction back, then I'm going to be looking for a short here. The next level is down. Looks like I got a level at 110 here. So hopefully, if we do end up breaking down into this range, we keep it nice and slow and methodical, and we don't just get a straight beeline, because I'm sure that will affect Ethereum, regardless of how much strength it's been having recently. So, just to compare the two, I'll throw this on real quick. So, right now, you can see we've gotten higher lows, and BTC has been putting in lower highs and lower lows. Obviously, this hasn't retraced as much of this, so the strength is with ETH right now, which is a good look for alts and for ETH. Get to ETH in a minute, but right now the strength is looking good comparative between Bitcoin and Ethereum. Speaking of ETH, let's take a look at this. So we had this chart set up back here when we first started coming down about 10 or so days ago. We were watching for a correlation of count come down in here. We knew when I was posted in the Discord here, we were looking to see if this smaller degree wave 5 was done. It was. Ended up breaking some of the structure here that would tell us that the impulse has been completed. We were looking for a correlation. We didn't care if this was going to be a 1, 2, or whatever, or if this is going to be some larger wave 4. We had some areas of interest where these two counts lined up. And that was here, starting here at the 236 of the larger degree and the 382 of the larger degree. And then we'd be looking for internal retracement here to this move in this range. So we came down to the 50 and further back. I believe we ended up bouncing off of these areas that played as resistance in the past. And now we have flipped it into support, which is pretty huge. But we also have a correlation of count here. The most bullish, obviously, short term is that this is some 1, 2, and we're going to head up to the moon to 15,000 or whatever. So right now, we really have to see how this plays. But we do have this larger wave 2. You can count it a couple of different ways. I've seen a couple of different methods of how to count this. I think this is the shortest time right here. So I'd be looking for something at least equivalent to this as far as time goes. So if we start putting in some sideways and we don't go to 15,000 on Monday, so I'd at least be looking for something that offsets this correction here. And if you count it as a bit as this whole thing is a wave 2 of some kind, then we'd be looking for that time to offset within here. In bullish conditions, there's always excuses why something could just take off and run. But when it comes to having the edge in an Elliott Wave, we really got to keep our mind on the guidelines and the rules. And one of the guidelines is that we like to see things nice and proportioned, even in time and in price. So right now, I have this as the wave 2 is at the shortest time interval. So right now, if we pulled something corrective up here, I believe I have this in log. So looks a little bit different out of log. So if we start going sideways and doing something like this, that's fine. I really don't want to see us break this level here that we just bounced off of at 4,000. We were looking for this to bounce off of 4,000 potentially 10 days ago or so. But if we can keep it within this range and go sideways, I'm fine with that. But we're looking for something to offset this potential zigzag wave too. If it starts getting a little bit longer, we can come back here and say, okay, maybe this was a little bit something more complex back here. And we'll have to consider the time interval. But for right now, if we're going to be staying in the most bullish, we're looking for a 1, 2 and then extension up. But if we start going sideways, I'd probably come back to this wave 2 and see where we are and look for an offset of that in a wave 4 potentially. So we are still in the mix of both being true at this time. We could be in a wave 4 at the larger degree, could still be in an impulse up at the lesser degree. So we're just gonna have to see how this plays out here. In the Discord, I was saying I really hope this completes as an impulse up because that makes things nice and easy. When we start getting into correctives and stacking zigzags and sharp corrections on top of each other, that's when things can get hairy and content monsters come out and put 5 million different counts on this, calling the end of it 10 different times without anything actually changing. So with this setup here, I'd like just to see us complete here as a nice impulse with a 1, 2, something like this at least. We can dig in and kind of decipher and argue about what's going on here with the 1, 2, 1, 2s and all that stuff. But I think minimally, conservatively, we at least want to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we can go from there. But if we do start dropping down, I think we can consider that this is going to be a larger degree wave 4. Right now, we don't care. This should be the bottom. If this is a completed retracement here for the impulse back at the lesser degree. But if this is a wave 4, there's a possibility this level could be taken out for a larger degree wave 4. Expanding flats and all that stuff are the most common retracement or flat you can find in Elliott Wave. So if we've already done a sweep of the high here. If we do end up coming down and sweeping this low, that would get us closer within the area of wave 4 interest here and closer to the 382. We're also looking for previous degree wave 4s to play as support when we're looking for a wave 4. So if we do end up coming down here, I think looking deeper in, maybe between 4,000 and 3,800 would be the ideal area to look for. That's in the future. If we end up breaking down, that's the area that I'd be looking for. But for now, things are staying up here pretty good. So we'll play it one day at a time and see what prints. But always thinking ahead, being prepared. This would be the next level of interest for me. Continuing on, we'll go to a little smaller time frame here. So right now we are holding up a lot better in ETH than we are in Bitcoin, as I showed previously. We really want to start holding these levels here, and we've already started. So I'll be watching these levels to hold as support if we end up coming down. Right now we're staying at the most likely target for a wave 4, which is a 236, which I don't have on here. But we're in between the ideal area. This is the ideal area, really the 382 to the 50. But if we're going to stay nice and tight and more on the bullish side, this is doing okay. We have a potential little wave 4 there that we're finding support on, and then we got these as well. So over the weekend here, I wouldn't be surprised if we came back here. If we do end up coiling up, I would expect to break. We do have an all-time high here that we just peeked through. Finding a nice barrier triangle or consolidating underneath is not the worst look. So if we do end up coiling underneath, I'll be expecting a pop. But after that, if we're super bullish, we'll just keep moving and then we'll be looking for a retracement above it. But we also have to consider that we're in a wave 4 potentially. So buying the breakout here may work out for you, but we'll have to see what form we get here. If we get a triangle, that would be a little bit more sus that we're going to be ending here after this pop. So the roadmap that I laid out to 5,000 is still in the works here. We didn't get a full retracement down to like the 386, but we knew that we had an area of interest coming up and to keep an eye out for that. It could still happen just because we don't get something in the primary actionary wave of the correction doesn't mean that it's over with. If this is a double zigzag, like I'm considering it is at this point, it kills a lot of different counts that we can put on this. We can't put anything complex on this because it's not a simple correction here. So having this as a double zigzag for the moment, I'll change it if something prints over here that's a little bit more convincing. But for now, I have this as a double zigzag, which means this can only really be a larger degree flat coming in or a triangle. All the other complex sideways corrections are off the table because I have this as a double zigzag. I've seen some people have this labeled as a A. Not sure what they're going for there, but having this as a ABC, I don't really see it. I could be convinced if I'll have to make a succession if we do end up printing something little bit more long range, like if we do end up putting in a triangle and we get some super complex wave over here, then I may have to come back here and say, okay, maybe this is some impulse or zigzag down here. But for now, at the smaller degree, I think we're still looking pretty good. Just as long as we stay above 4,500, I think we're still looking good for a potential impulsive move up here. And that's what I'm going to be watching for. That, and then a coil up underneath the all time high here, and then a pop on the bullish end.